Here we go. You already know what that means. When number 4 goes, here we go. It's about to be a 30-yard pass crossing route to my boy CD. You already know what's going down. What up, 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 what up? America, we back in the building. Brooklyn Bears Ball Sports Show. Here we are once again, week 10. We about to get into it. We about to discuss all things that happened on Sunday and Monday. And then later in the week, we'll catch up with some of the previews for the upcoming week. But listen, we got some stuff for you today. Gotta say, them Niners look scary. I gotta say they're back. I don't want to admit that. I don't want to admit that. I was hoping at least for one more loss. Just one more. That's all I needed. But anyway, the fun is over. It's Brooklyn Bears and Ball. You know what to do. We need you to share, like. We need you to go ahead, smash that like button, guys. Not just the hearts and all that other stuff you see on there, although that's good too. That helps push the algorithm. But on YouTube, we need you to just push that like button, all right? Get that notification up as well. That really helps push the algorithms, and it gives us so much love, man. Y'all been showing us a lot of love, particularly our Facebook community, man. Thank y'all so much. The reels have been popping. Y'all just been showing us a lot of love, a lot of feedback. We appreciate it. Shout out to my boy Don, who's in the building. My co-host, Big D. What's good with you, man? I know you're feeling kind of good, bro.
Oh, man. I'm not one of those people that says, I told you so. I'm really not. I was going to bring out the chain, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to bring out the chain for this show. Once we get back on a winning streak, although we started it, once we get back on a streak, I'm gonna bring the chain back out. But listen, man.
Okay, that's fair.
Fantastic weekend. Niners did. I knew they had. Listen, Steve Wilkes, baby.
Yeah, yes. Sideline Steve.
It worked out. Oh man, listen. But we'll discuss that further. But man, without further ado, man, let's get into it. Okay, week 10. We just yesterday, week 10 wrapped up with an upset. Broncos. Listen, as predicted, the Bills are in some serious trouble. And we're not going to even discuss the Bills because the Bills are bottom feeders. Broncos, listen. Russell Wilson, more touchdowns already than he had all of last season.
Yeah.
So it wasn't Russ. Russ didn't lose anything. Of course, they're going to have to make some adjustments. And they're going to have to, in the offseason, get some positions and pieces.
It's going to take some time.
It's going to take a while. But overall, kudos to Russ. Kudos to Russ because everybody was about to, bury him. Just throw dirt on him. And speaking of people throwing dirt on players and on teams, the 49ers, everybody was ready to bury the 49ers after losing 3 games, winning 5 in a row, beat the team is world beaters. Nobody wants to see us. Like, let's be honest. Nobody wants to see the Niners. We lose 3 games. Quarterback is concussed. We have major injuries. We had an opportunity to win against the Browns. Everybody was down on Brock Purdy. He shouldn't even been drafted. 262 was too high. Now, all of a sudden, we're back. We are back, and we're back with a vengeance. My co-host said that the Jaguars were going to win. My co-host said that the score was going to be 19-16 Jaguars. And not only we were going to lose, but we were only going to put up 16 points.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what, D. I really thought, and I just text you something, too. If the playoffs actually started today, we would actually have to see the Niners. They would be the team we would have to see if the playoffs started today. And I'll be honest, America,
you're glad it's not starting today.
I'm glad we got 6 more weeks of football, right?
Oh, man, so glad it's not starting today.
So glad. I'm so glad. Listen, I don't want to see the Niners. And I'll be honest, D. I know what it was. I said to myself, I said, look, I got to see how the Niners look, right? Because y'all really did look bad. Now, granted, no Trent, no Debo, but, man, I thought Jaguars would have put up a little bit better performance. I think the game was lost on the Kirk fumble. I believe it was Kirk that fumbled. When it was 20-3, they was inside the goal and the fumble, and that just—
You said the game was lost at 20-3?
Well, and the reason why I say lost, I'm gonna tell you, okay, let me put it this way, not lost. I still think y'all would have prevailed, but the momentum would have shifted. And I think the game, it would have, if Jacksonville scores right there, at least shifts the momentum a little bit. I think they play a little bit differently. The defense maybe comes back a little more inspired on the next series. But I mean, clearly, it was inevitable to see. It was obvious, to see that the Niners were back pretty much. I mean, from the first five. So yeah.
I just want to understand this. The Jaguars, it wasn't because they could afford to lose. I just want to make sure. We're clear with that?
No.
They lost because we were a dominant team.
Yeah, no question. And you made Trevor Lawrence look like almost like what he looked like when he had Urban Myers as his coach. Like, that's how bad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he looked really bad. The whole offense was bad. Everybody was just bad. And that all that to do with the 49ers. The Niners made them look like that. It wasn't.
I appreciate you being
honest. I'm gonna show you love where love is due, bro. I'm gonna give you that 1 Corinthians 13. I'm gonna show you love. You know what I'm saying? Love don't keep a score. You know what I'm saying? It's all good.
That's right. Okay,
you know
good. That's good.
I'm gonna show you the love. Yeah.
So
it's all good.
Brock Purdy looked good. Everything. I mean, defense. Most importantly, was dominant. Dominant.
It was the defense, really. That
sacks. Turnovers. I mean, it was just. I mean, realistically speaking, the score, although they only scored 3 points, everything was, we were just hitting on all cylinders. And I'll say this, it could have easily been like 34-3 is a blowout. But it really could have been worse than that. It really could have been like we could have put up 40. It was no problem. And this is a team, and I just want to, just so we know, the Jaguars won 5 games in a row. And people were saying this was the hottest or one of the hottest teams in the AFC.
Defensively. They still were struggling a little. They were still struggling offensively. They haven't been like great, but they've been winning.
We liken them to the Eagles, right? Who has still been winning. They haven't been pretty games, but the record is the record, right? 5 games in a row is 5 games in a row, right?
Especially in the NFL, yeah.
So we don't want to minimize that, and I won't allow you to minimize 5 games in a row.
No, I'm not going to minimize.
But that came to a screeching halt. Unfortunately, I will say this.
Okay.
CMC was not able to continue his touchdown streak. But individual, once again, our team is February. That is our focus. So we're not worried about individual accomplishments and little trinkets along the way. Now, we have Tampa Bay. We'll discuss that on our next show. We have Tampa Bay. Then we have Seattle, Eagles, Seattle. So we have some difficult. We have a difficult schedule, especially we're going.
But I would say definitely
the Seattle Eagles, Seattle. Yeah, that's going to be that's a challenge, but we're up for it. We're up for the challenge. Our
schedule is kind of soft, though. I mean, outside of the Ravens and the Eagles, I mean, Seattle will probably give you a fight. It's a divisional game, and Seattle is not obviously they're a playoff team, right? And they actually played you guys well.
Are we talking
in
about
the first half of that playoff game?
Wait, hold on. What? Are we talking about a soft schedule? You played.
No, I'm saying
Danny
outside of your division.
Son.
Well, I mean, we can't help we got to play the Giants, right? I mean, they're in our division. It's like,
Okay, so we have to play Seattle. They're in our division.
No, I know, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, and granted, I get you. Like, even the Giants, right? It's bad. But what I'm saying is, you play the AFC North, right? Which is tough. It's tough. So, in other words, what I should say is this: a lot of your tougher games, I think, were already played. Outside of the Eagles and the Ravens, you don't really have much competition there. You know what I'm saying? And you play who you play in division. I mean, the Rams are trash. The Cardinals are trash. You know what I'm saying? Even with
Cardinals
Kyler.
beat you guys, but okay.
Well, they did. It was a bad loss by Dallas. But I don't make them a good team, though. That don't make them a formidable opponent, though.
This is without Kyler Murray.
I mean, you lost to Minnesota without a Jefferson, and so I mean, no one's gonna say that Minnesota's world beaters because of that. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying. But your schedule, I think the harder games that you had. I mean, clearly you blew Dallas out, right? But that was supposed to be a formidable challenge.
That was
right?
the Super Bowl, right? That was
Dallas'
Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's Dallas' Super Bowl. We beat the Niners. I'm okay. Even if we don't win the chip, I'm almost good with that. If we could beat the Niners, then I'm good with it. That's just how I feel about it, man.
That means you ain't good. That means you ain't good with it because it ain't gonna happen. It's not happening this year. It didn't happen last year. Didn't happen the year before.
I feel good about this year. Even with the blowout, I feel good. I just think Dallas did not. Again, it's still inexplicable to me how they came out in that game, the way that they played, but their body language, the posture, everything was more than just X and O's. And they were not getting the ball to CD at all. He had hardly any targets in that game.
You know what happened?
And Dallas, the offense just was not there the way it is right now. Like I think since that blowout loss, we found something there. Teams play better after they find themselves. Even look at Denver. You just said it. After giving up 200 points to Miami, it seems like they have really been playing better football since then. It's like a wake-up call.
So we woke you. We slapped your face and woke you guys up.
Hey, listen, whatever it takes.
A few backhands from the Niners, and now you're on. Now you're feeling good.
Like when your mama come in there and she smack you up, you know what I'm saying? And
Okay, let me say this. All right, listen.
It's your Sunday, even though my team.
No, it's not. It's not my Sunday. It's not my Sunday.
I mean,
because both our teams won, so we should both feel good.
But
now, beating the Giants.
Yeah.
No pun intended with the name. Beating the Giants and beating the Jaguars is a big difference.
I totally concur. I don't know this.
One thing that did make me a little sick was the fact that Dak, after beating up on the Giants, was mentioned in the MVP discussion because you beat up on that. Come on,
it's really because the way he's been playing. Like, I mean, the stats show he's better than now a lot of the other quarterbacks that are playing well, and they got far more interceptions. And Dak, of course, if Dak throws an interception, of course that's national media. That's national media. Joe Biden is talking about it. Fox News. And
but you guys, but that comes with the so-called America's team. You can't have it both ways. You can't always. You want all the fanfare, but when you guys don't produce, that same spotlight is on you to make
that's fair.
Make notes of
because who he plays for. I get it.
Yeah.
No,
and so
not MVP discussion. I agree with you there.
All right.
With this take, I concur.
Because he should not be mentioned because if we go by the way he's played on this stretch, then when Brock Purdy was playing phenomenal football through the first 5 weeks and he was mentioned in that, you were very against that. Like you were like, there's no way. And statistically, and this is with better competition, you guys, for the most part, very similar to Miami, you haven't beat anyone significant. Like, what's going to be interesting for me is to see what you guys do against Washington. I know you're going to laugh at that. See what you do against Washington. See what you do against. Yeah, see what you do against. Certainly, Week 14 is going to be big. This is going to be for you guys. I think it's too lofty of a goal to think that you're going to beat the 49ers. Work on charity begins at home. Sweep around your own front door, right? So you worry about your division, NFC East. Try to get the Eagles, right? And then you can step up to higher competition and then maybe see us, down the line.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we'll make the playoffs either way, right? Even if we don't win the division, which I highly doubt that happens.
You won't win the division, but I mean, you will make the playoffs.
We're going to make the playoffs. At the minimum, we'll make the playoffs, and I think we'll still somehow, some way, we'll cross paths with the 49ers again. But and that for me, and again, and I don't know if Dallas is even thinking this, right? Maybe they aren't. I mean, considering how we looked when we played y'all early this year. But to me, that's the measuring stick. That's the game that you have to beat them. They've exited you twice in a row, 2 years in a row, and then they annihilated and embarrassed you again on national TV early this year. So to me,
for good measure, just in case.
Hey, listen, I'm not here to argue. You got it, bro. You got it. I just told my man Briggs. I just said, another 49er fan like yourself. I just told him, because he was popping smack and everything.
Shout out to Sweets.
Sweets is over, Sweets. He talking mad smack in the chats. And I'm like, yo, bro, you got it. I ain't nothing I can say. I said, yo, you check the show. He watches us. He don't always get a chance to comment on it, but he's listening to us, and he like, yo, you need to listen to your boy D. I'm like, listen, I'm just look, y'all got it. I can't say nothing until we beat y'all. It's one victory over the 49ers. In my mind, erases
covers a multitude of
losses. One.
Right. Yeah,
D?
exactly.
Oh, I love it. One win
covers a multitude of losses.
That's it.
So I'll say this. It was a good game, good victory. As far as the Cowboys, you guys it was a good mix of your offense showed and your defense actually did it. Now, it's a lesser opponent, right? Giants aren't anything to, and then they started going haywire on the sideline. I mean, because it has to be demoralizing. Like, you're getting beat, divisional opponent, and I mean, what did they put up in both games? Under 20 points combined?
17 points. But they scored all their points in this game.
Yeah, 17 and 17 and then by the way, they shouldn't have scored 89. 17 points against you guys.
No, at that time we took all of our starters out from the front end to the linebackers.
I know even about that.
We brought in McQuamu, and we brought in what's his name? Scott came in. He's a backup. He's active. One of our draft picks this year. So we took a lot of our guys out. Gilmore was out. You know what I'm saying? Duran. They didn't play in that. And when the Giants they got their garbage.
Doesn't that feel good? I mean, I'm familiar with that. That feels really good when your starters are out in the fourth quarter. That is. Well, you're right. Slow.
Dallas, I've experienced that several times this year. We took guys out, and we didn't do it in the Bay, but we did do that in other games.
Right? Because
we had it done against us. But yeah.
Listen. Now, one thing I'll say this, and we'll move on. The only thing I can appreciate that they wanted CMC to keep the streak going. The only problem is get CMC out of there, right? All we need is a game that's already won or decided. Somebody falls and hits an ankle, and it's a high ankle sprain for foolishness, right?
Right.
Confetti coming down in Vegas is more than a reward than keeping, a streak going. Here's an exciting thing: start a new streak. You can start it against Tampa Bay. Start a new streak. Start a new, touchdown streak. Yeah. Get 2 touchdowns a game. Push that out. Do whatever. But we have to be smart about managing our players. And I get it. Something like that, you do want to give them a shot, right? And they gave him, every opportunity possible. I mean, they were wide open, receivers and in the corner of the end zone, and they were still trying to feed CMC. So, I mean,
it felt like they should have tried to get him involved. I think they should have tried to get him, and maybe, I don't know. I admit I was kind of watching some of the other more competitive games at that time, but it seemed like if they were going to try to get him the streak, which clearly they wanted to, it seemed like they should have tried to do that earlier.
Right. It was it was 2 minutes left, and you're trying to, And can I say this? We just have to say this. What's up with Fox keeping that Dallas game on? That was
that money, bro.
Listen, that was, but just moving on to nobody was. That wasn't a competitive game. They should have moved that game to the Washington. Who were they playing? They were playing. Washington was playing.
Who was the Washington Redskins playing? I'll tell you right here. Jesus, I know we both got brain farts today. They were playing Seattle.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a very exciting game.
Yeah, a lot of the
Very
games actually were pretty good, but that was a good game. Yeah.
I think it was a record for the most games that ended in a field goal, like the game-winning field goal. So it was exciting. Nail biters. You know, it was pretty exciting.
Yeah. No, I agree. But Dallas, they just can't. Yeah, they're not gonna. I was teasing D and Corey. You know, the Raiders and Dolphins play at 1:00, and the Cowboys and Carolina play at 1:00. And I actually told them, I said the Cowboys is going to have a higher rating than the Raiders and Dolphins. And of course they laughed and said, "No way." I said, I said, "What? I'm telling you guys, Dallas can play Idaho State or a community college in San Francisco and still, their practice on a Tuesday afternoon will get more ratings than most
right.
teams.
Right.
That's just the way it is. I mean, you said it earlier, right? That's what comes with being a Cowboys. Either you watch us because you want us to win or you want to see us lose. But either way, all eyes are on Dallas, and that's why people talk about him. Listen, right? That's the only thing that we can give Jerry credit for, right? He's going to keep people talking about him. So, but a lot of those games ended. The Browns and Ravens was less than 2 points. Cardinals and Falcons, that was a 2-point game. Chargers and Lions, 2-point game. As we said, Seattle Commanders, game.
So let's talk about the Browns and the Ravens.
Okay.
Oh man, listen, I knocked it out the park this week, man. I'm gonna be honest.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm
gonna be honest. I think I know a little bit about football. Listen, I don't want to say it like that, but
America's that conspiracy theorist.
I'm telling you, there is something to it. And I will tell you this really quickly. There is a big game Thursday. Huge game. Huge. This is going to be an exciting game because the Thursday games have been snoozers, like terrible games. A lot of people have been complaining about the primetime games this past Sunday, and even Monday night, although it was better than people, advertised. There is a big game on Thursday. This is Bengals versus Ravens, both of them coming off of losses. I'm going to tell you now, this is my early prediction.
Oh, boy. You going to pick an upset with the Bengals?
Bengals win.
No.
Bengals, listen, we're going to clip this. Bengals win. I don't know what the spread is. I think the spread might be 3.5. Bengals are going to win.
3.5, yeah. 3.5. Yeah.
Bengals are going to win. Bengals are going to win. Listen. Hopefully, by watching this show, you understand that there is a degree of orchestration in the NFL. Let me just listen. There is some orchestration that takes place. Let me hit this real quick. People got to understand. There is some orchestration with the NFL. There are teams that are, if you will, sexier teams than others. They are players that they want. They're going to afford them every opportunity to be in the playoffs. I mean, listen, look at Dallas's schedule down the stretch. You see how many home games they have? They have flexed their games so they can make the playoffs. I'm just joking. We still got that schedule was already there. I'm just joking.
Right, I was going to say,
I'm just joking. Y'all got the same amount of home games as
and anybody else. Right, exactly.
But I'm saying all that to say there is, AFC North is already a tough division, right? And I said this weeks ago. Not only did I predict that the Ravens were going to be upset by the Browns, I put that on tape. And so a lot of times when I clip stuff, it seems like it's after the fact. But if you watch the show, you would know this stuff ahead of time. Like, hey, the Ravens are going to lose to the Browns. The Browns have, listen, if Deshaun Watson gets his act together, they're going to be very, very tough.
I agree.
Myles Garrett is balling out. As quiet as it's kept, he's balling out. And so he's a really good player. Now, imagine if they had Nick Chubb with that defense. Imagine, they have, a mix of running backs, Ford and Kareem Hunt, and they got a whole mix of running backs, right? And they're doing well with that mix. But imagine if they had one stable bell cow back with that defense, with the run game, with the receivers, Amari Cooper. You guys wish y'all never got rid of Amari Cooper. Like, look at that team. It's a good team. And I'm not saying that because they beat the Niners. They're a good team. It speaks for itself.
Yeah.
They're a very good team.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say that it's going to be very interesting down the stretch. And then I predicted, and I'm just going to go with these predictions, that possibly 3 teams from the AFC North were going to make the playoffs. The Bills are sunk. I said that early on.
You did.
Early in the season when Diggs was having that beef and post playoffs in the playoffs. And his brother just text or not text. He tweeted that, yo, you got to get 14 out of there. I mean, he's talking to his brother, right? His brother doesn't want to be there. And they tried to squash it. And I think there's going to be major moves. I think the coach is gone. The only person that's going to remain
today. They fired their OC.
They fired him, fall guy. Yeah. You got to do something.
Well, and that means too that that's only a step closer to McDermott, right?
Of course,
it starts with the coordinators going first, and then
and it really goes when they got rid of Leslie Frazier, because that was funny business. How they got rid of Leslie Frazier? Yeah. Oh, he's taking a step away from football. I think there was some internal conflict there. Yeah. So now you got rid of Leslie Frazier. That defense has been decimated with injuries. Granted,
they haven't. Yeah.
They have a lot of injuries, right? Yeah, but the offense has not been able to click. Number one, they need a running game. They refused. They refused to address the running game.
Big time.
So as long as they don't address that, and Josh Allen wants to be a hero, and I will say this to Dak's credit. And I think RG3 brought it up. He tweeted this, and it made a lot of sense. The same focus that Dak Prescott gets with his interceptions, that same spotlight should be put on Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen plays for Buffalo. Dak plays for Dallas. So it's apples and oranges, right? We're talking about, upstate New York, and we're talking about arguably America's team, right? So it's not apples to apples as far as the focus of the NFL, but they had the 5th best odds starting this season to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that says something, right? And so the fact is that they're 5-5. They're a 500 team. Let me tell you, I like the Steelers better than I like them. I like definitely the Bengals more than I like them. And I like the Browns more than I like them. So yeah,
absolutely,
they're going to be on the outside looking in. And I really, and they have a tough schedule moving forward. So I don't think they make the playoffs. No shock here. This is not a Monday morning quarterbacking. This is I called it early. There is something with it. So I say all that to say, I don't think the coach is going to survive this, right?
Yeah.
Diggs is out of there. They're going to trade him away. The only person that is going to survive is Josh Allen, and that's because they committed so much money to him. Right. So they're going to try to build around him. They're going to try to get some pieces, some cheap receivers, and try to go from there. But unless they establish a running game, they're just spinning their wheels. It's going to be the same outcome. You need a balance of running and passing. What do you say?
Well, I was going to say, the running game, I'm looking at their stats here, right? So James Cook, they actually ran well last night. We saw him run the ball well. All it was, you see like fumbles and stuff is just going everywhere. The game was kind of sloppy on both teams with the Broncos as well. But Cook you're right, they're not running enough. Cook only has 120 carries in 10 games, right? So he's roughly what?
12 carries. Yeah.
He got 120 carries, right, for 615 yards. So he's averaging 5.1 a pop. So, I don't know why they're not running. It seems like when he touches the ball, clearly he's doing some work. Latavius Murray, we know he had some good seasons there with the Raiders, but he's only had 51 carries for 215 yards, right? So he's, and even still with that, he's a 4.2 average per carry, which again isn't bad, but they're not running the ball. Josh Allen, obviously not every play there are plays that are deliberate with him scripted to run, but he's got, 48 carries this year as the quarterback. He's got 3 less carries than Latavius Murray, whose job is to run the ball, right? So you're right. The thing is, I don't know if the running game is ineffective as much as it is they're just not doing it enough. They need to run the ball. In fact, the drives that they had last night that actually looked really good was engineered by the run. And I think
they were running really good yesterday, but they got away from it, which was so crazy. Got away from it.
Yeah.
Because between Cooks and Latavius Murray, they were running really, really well.
They were.
And they were. Said they got away from it, of course, because and we talked about this before with defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators, sometimes head coaches. They get too cute. Whatever's working, they still want to put their stamp on it. They want to sprinkle their little bit of pixie dust. And so Josh Allen, maybe the coordinator, the offensive coordinator, they got him out of there. But maybe the head coach, they want to have their own identity as it being this way the offense works or that way. So why? Listen, we know what happened in Atlanta, right? In the Super Bowl. 7 yards a carry. Why did you go away from that?
Yeah.
Like it's some things just don't make sense. Marshawn Lynch, why would you try to force the ball in? Why didn't you just keep running the ball again? Like those are just it does not make sense. If it's working, why would you stop? And as a result, that team at the end of this season is going to be blown. They're gonna blow that team up, rightfully so, because the good thing about it is this should give Miami. It's their division to lose, right? I mean, we know that, and even with the dysfunction, that team still beat Miami. What does that say about Miami? And they smoked them. It wasn't even close. They smoked them. They still have to play them again, but with that dysfunction, they still smoked them. But it's Miami's division to lose, obviously, because when this season's over, we don't know with Belichick what's going to happen with that. We don't know if Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are going to get it together. He's talking about coming back mid-December. I don't believe it. It probably won't be worth it for him to come back. And then you have the team that is going to be detonated in upstate New York. So Miami is intact. They got a coach. They got a quarterback. They got receivers. They got everything they need to dominate that division for the foreseeable future, in my eyes.
No, you're right. You're talking about the Dolphins. You're talking about, right?
The Dolphins,
definitely. Yeah.
After this season, I mean, they really have a stronghold on the division now, right? Unless they collapse, but for the most part, they have it.
They do. It's theirs to lose. I definitely agree. And Buffalo beating Miami, I think it's more just, it speaks to just the inconsistency of Buffalo. That's why this team was always so hard to figure out, because, they were projected as Super Bowl contenders, right? And really it would all hinge from that just one game that Josh Allen played against the Chiefs and played well. I mean, to Chiefs and Mahomes, and, played well, obviously, in that game. They did come up short, but no fault of Allen. But I think this team is just, again, you talk about the coaching, the non-targets for Diggs, not running the ball. They're just a weird team. So they beat Miami again, which is a divisional opponent. But I don't know if it speaks to any deficiencies for Miami as it is more glaring to me how inconsistent Buffalo is. And that's why you just can't figure this team out, because they beat a highly powered offensive team like Miami. And I think it was a lot more healthy at that time, if I recall correctly, when they played Miami early in the year. But at the end of the day, that's just what you have with this team. So if they're going to move Diggs, which I'm sure that's going to happen, right? Because if Diggs and Allen, which we can clearly see, he's out, because Josh ain't going anywhere. So they're going to keep him. Diggs is gone. So that they're going to definitely lose a lot. You're not winning with Gabe and Kincaid. They'll just get some draft picks, and they'll probably fire McDermott, bring somebody else in there, and then kind of somewhat start over. They'll get healthy defensively next year, and then we'll see how it goes. You know what I mean? I mean, I wouldn't say Miami, it's their division going forward. It does look better if you don't have a Diggs in your division anymore, because we doubt that they trade him to an AFC East team, obviously, or even an AFC opponent for that.
So I got a question for you based on that. Okay, so Diggs, let's say Diggs leaves. I think because of the other teams in the division, Miami is the most consistent. They have the most consistent structure of coaches, players, etc. But let's just say Diggs, in the case of Diggs, first question is who made who, right? Did Diggs make him, or did Josh Allen make Diggs, right? Because Diggs, when he was in Minnesota, he was a good receiver, but he couldn't get to that level because of the quarterback play, right?
Right.
He had an issue with Kirk Cousins or whatever. Now, let me ask you one more thing.
Right.
Do you think that moving forward, since his brother said what he said, they're going to shut Diggs out for the rest of the season? Because, teams will do that. When they want to either suppress what you make in free agency, or they want to tarnish potentially you going elsewhere. Because I don't know how many years he has. Maybe they don't do that if they're looking for trade value. If he has years left.
He can actually, he could be out after 2025 because a lot of his guaranteed money at that point would have been paid out. So
okay, so he's still under contract.
He's still he's actually under contract until 2028.
Oh wow, okay.
He's a restricted he's an unrestricted free agent in 2028. He technically has obviously 24, 25, 26 and 27. So he's got a lot of money, that can still come to him. But
so what's interesting is yesterday you mentioned it. They only threw him the ball 5 times. 5 targets.
5 targets.
And he got 36 yards.
Yep.
So I think he had 3 catches on 5 targets, 36 yards, something like that.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
It goes to show you doesn't matter how good you are. If your team is not utilizing you as a number 1 receiver, the questions start to form. Is he a number 1? You gave Gabe Davis more targets and Dalton Kincaid and Khalil, whatever his name is, more targets than you give your primary receiver. Like, he should have been in that type of game. He should have gotten at least 10 to 12 targets. You give them the targets, and if he can't make anything of it, he can't make anything of it. Right. Do you think that they're going to restrict his targets, or you think because after they had that blow up, they started force feeding him, right? Because he was one of the between him and AJ Brown, when AJ Brown and Whichcourt had that little discussion on the sideline, AJ Brown started getting ridiculous targets, and he made good with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, what do you think, Diggs? Do you think because they already with this beef with his brother tweeting that, you think that they're going to give him more targets, or you think that the relationship is already severed and they're going to be like, hey, we're going to look at some other people that are going to be here next year. Let's just give them the targets. What do you think? How do you think that's going to come out?
I think, well, last night, I'm going to say this. I'll start with last night real quick, right? Now, to Buffalo's defense, schematically, if you will, or the way the game was played, right? Cook had 12 carries, Latavius had 9. Right? And Josh ran the ball 4 times. They had 192 rushing yards last night. So if you're not going to target your best receiver, which they clearly didn't, and Gabe and Kincaid only got 1 more target than they got. So they got targeted 6 times, and Stephon only got 1. I mean, 1 less, which was 5, right? So if you're running the ball and you're running effectively, then it makes sense, right? Okay, so we're not going to air this out all over the yard. We're going to kind of let the running game open up the pass game, right? But still, right? Stephon still ain't getting the level of targets that he should be getting. So do I think at the end of the day, they're going to phase him out? I don't think so. I think, in fact, you're going to see him get the ball now. I really do. I think you're going to see him get the ball. I think they're going to want to try to do their best to save this season. McDermott kind of knows where he stands now. Most likely, he kind of feels, I know he's not going to admit to that, but he's got to understand that this could be it for me, right? This season could be it. So it doesn't make sense for him to go out. And if he has any chance of salvaging his name or having some respectability to at least what he's accomplished in Buffalo, which is some good things, that he can still go out on top as a respectable coach if they don't make the playoffs, but at least they were able to perform at some respectable level. I think you're going to see that more. And I think with Trayvon putting him on blast, right? Because Trayvon only tweeted and expressed the feelings of his brother, because they're brothers. They talk, right? So he only shared what the truth is. I think you're going to see him get more targets. I think you're going to see that happening. But only because I think the Buffalo Bills are going to want to do their best to salvage the season and look some kind of way. Look, AJ Brown complained, he balled out. When CD complained after the 49ers game, it was lights out after that. Now, I mean, no other player in the history of the game has gone for 3 straight games with 10 plus receptions and plus over 150 yards in 3 straight games. Never done before, right? So it's like the guys got to complain. Like these receivers, they're not getting the ball unless they complain. It's unfortunate that your best receiver has to complain about getting the ball, and you're not going to see good things happen if your best receiver is not getting the ball. That's when you saw the fortunes of the Eagles turn in terms of their performance. They were still winning, but their performance improved drastically. And I think for Buffalo, their performance will improve if they just get Diggs the ball more. You got to target him more, and I think you will see that. I don't think they'll kind of cancel him out or kind of suppress him. They'll let him ball out. In fact, and that's only going to add more value to the trade because even at the end of the day, they're probably still going to trade him. I don't think. Now, here's what I will say, D. I'll say this after we'll toss it back to you. I don't think, though, getting Diggs 10 more targets a game is going to make him stay. I still think
no.
He wants to be
done.
out.
That bridge is burned. I agree. That bridge is burned.
And they know that. And so that's why hey, ball out. We're going to get you the ball. We'll do whatever we can. And we'll throw it into quadruple coverage if we have to. We're going to get you the targets. And we'll do that for you. And hopefully that will make their play a lot better because you only win when your best players are getting the ball. But at the end of the day, they know it's not going to change the position and posture of Diggs. So that's only going to raise his stock that much more. And they're going to get a slew of picks for that cat, son. A slew. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. It's all good. Because no one's turning down Diggs and they will pay him his money.
I mentioned except the Cowboys. The Cowboys is good. Y'all won't need them. I'm interested in because the Cowboys don't need to improve on anything.
We can't afford them. We can't afford them. We don't have.
So I know you mentioned something about CeeDee Lamb and making this historic. I think Noah Brown I think Noah Brown did something similar.
Noah Brown's looking good. He's looking good. Him and Schultz. I missed them both actually. No, I miss Schultz. I don't miss Brown. I don't miss Noah. Noah had some good catches. He had some good moments with Dallas, but I'm still salty over that drop he had in Jacksonville.
But what I'm saying is what he's doing with the Texans, I think Noah Brown just did some historic. I don't know if it's 2 games in a row. I think it's 2 games where he had at least 150, 175, because he had 2 games where he was, I think, upwards of 150. So I don't know. CeeDee Lamb, you sure it's not the first Cowboy to do that? Because I find
that's in the history of the NFL
ever.
No, nobody's done 3 games in a row with 10 plus catches.
10 plus catches.
10 plus catches and 150 yards.
Got it. Got it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So listen, I don't know if Mike McCarthy, if Jerry Jones, they watch Brooklyn Beards and Ball, but we said if he's a number 1, he should get number 1 targets. We're not the only ones who said it, but the question was, is he really a number 1? That's what a number 1 should get.
I agree.
And so I get what you're saying. It doesn't matter if they run for 200 yards, 250. Right. He should still get that many targets. He should get a minimum of 10 targets because once the defense starts to react to you running the ball and they try to crowd the box, right, you should have single coverage and you should be able to hit him over the top.
Concur.
I mean, Diggs is a big time receiver, so he should still get a minimum of 10 targets. There's no reason in any game he should get 5 targets.
No, and your point is valid because even in last night's game, right, the game was still close enough where you still want to involve your star receiver, right?
Absolutely.
It's not like it was a blowout. And you're like, okay, look, Diggs, it's a blowout, bro. Like, I don't even feel like throwing the ball anymore, right? John,
right.
You know what I'm saying? About 28 points. Can I rest my arm, dog? Like, really? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, no, but you're right. The game was still competitive enough where Diggs could still make impact, and he still should have had more than 5 targets at the end of the day. I was just trying to say, like, again, but again, you figure if you're having some success, time of possession, you kind of really, you're running the ball well, you want to get some balance. So maybe I'm not saying he should have had 25 targets, but 5 targets, maybe he could have gotten at least, like you say, maybe 5 more targets than what he got, right? It just depends on now when in the game that happens, because it's all about great players are going to make the plays when they most need it. And that's the key, because you could ball out in the first half and then disappear in the second half, a la A.J. Brown. So yeah.
Last but not least, real quick before we close,
Mm-hmm.
I was so close on my pick. I almost went 3-0 and 2-0 with my upsets.
Yeah.
Oh man, Chargers versus Lions. Now let me tell you, Lions are looking good. Smoke and mirrors. I just think and listen, Dan Campbell is like, that dude is Diesel. He's one of those, no neck dudes. But I just think that it's going to be, this is what I'll say. If they don't get a bye and they have to play on the road, like their best bet, the Lions that is to win out. That's their best bet. I just don't think, I don't like them playing the Cowboys. I don't like that. They definitely ain't come. If they come to San Francisco, it's going to be problems. And so we have an opportunity. The Niners have an opportunity to get the number 1 seed. If everything plays out, week 13 is going to be significant. We'll see what happens with the Eagles because they have a tough schedule. The only team that really doesn't have a tough Lions schedule is pretty easy. So it's kind of paving the way for them. But they might be one of those teams that gets the number 1 seed and they're one and done. They get the bye. And then when it comes time,
weak division.
They get the doors blown off of them. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it's
they got a weak schedule. You're right.
Yeah, they got the best schedule moving forward. So they their division. So you're already getting that benefit. And the fact is that the games that they played out of division, some of them have been cupcake games, and you gotta maximize that. When you get those opportunities, you have to seize them. I thought the Chargers had opportunities that they kind of let get away. A drop here, drop there. It was a really competitive game. I thought it was going to be good. I thought the Chargers would have pulled it off. They lost by 3. It came down to the wire. That's going to be another coaching vacancy. That coach is gone. There's going to be a lot of coaching vacancies.
Yeah.
After the end of this season. Yeah. Because he saying my bad and we didn't do enough is not going to be enough. That's not going to be. That sounds good. It's something that you have to say in the press conference.
Right.
But teams and fan bases don't want to hear that, especially when you have a great quarterback, you have a great running back, and you had some injuries to your receiving core, but Keenan Allen is still a really, really good receiver, and you got a first round draft pick in your receiver that you got, so you got to maximize what you have. So unfortunately, they're teetering on. They're on the outside looking in, and probably not going to make the playoffs. So it's gonna be interesting down the stretch between now and this is going to be a great week, right? This week, because you got a good Thursday night game, you got some great Sunday games, your Monday night game, and then you have Thanksgiving. So it's going to be a great week of football, week and a half of football. It's exciting, and these are divisional games. Some of them will decide potentially the seeding moving forward. Some are going to be games that really put teams on notice, like we did this past weekend. We put the NFL on notice as a whole that we're back, and so it's exciting, man.
It is. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Frauds are going to be listen, the cream always rises to the top. So all of those frauds that have been able to hide in the early part of their schedule, the weather's getting cold. There may be some rain. This is going to affect it.
Oh, you're right. I agree.
Defenses travel, running games travel. Those are the things that are going to ultimately determine who is representing the NFC and the AFC and meeting in the Super Bowl in Vegas.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. I think when you look at Detroit's defense actually isn't that, which is crazy. They're actually not a bad defense.
They're really good. They knocked it out the park with their drafts. From their tight end Laporta to a few. I think they have a really good a few offensive linemen, and somebody on the defense. And of course, I think last year they got Hutchinson. So they have a good team, and they're young.
Yeah.
But smoke and mirror. We going. What day is this? November 14th. Smoke and mirrors. If they get the number 1 seed, one and done. I
mean, it's
unless it's the Cowboys that go to them. If the Cowboys go to them, then they may advance.
No, that's not happening. No. Dallas will definitely beat them. We will beat them. But Detroit is still. I'm gonna give Detroit their props though. I mean, I think we have to stop fronting on them. I do think we need to look at them as a really formidable opponent. They're a good team. Check this out defensively, right? Because to me, that's where it all starts, right? For me, and so. They're one of the top ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're top 10 defense. They only give up 310 yards total of offense. So 231 yards in the air they give up, and they only give up 79 yards on the run. That's better than both Cowboys and 49ers, for that matter, and Cleveland, when it comes to the run. And so I think, that they're a team. That's why I was shocked because Herbert really threw the ball all over the yard on them. He had almost nearly 400 passing yards on them. So, they had opportunities to win that game. I guess it just really depends on the moments, right? We still got to see them perform. Like I was talking to my brother-in-law Frank yesterday, and it's like, only game. Of course, talking about my Cowboys. He says, look, the only games that I'm looking at for the Cowboys is game 18 of the season. What game 18? That's he got jokes, of course. Game 18. You missed me all the first 17 games. Game 18 is the game. Can Dallas win game 18?
That's right. So, he's absolutely right. I texted him.
No, he's right.
When Chicago played Panthers. Listen, Jesus.
Yeah.
Bryce Young.
Yeah. He's like, look, man.
He's the size of my son. He's the size of my son. Bryce Young is like. I was looking at Donald and I was looking at Bryce and I was like, you know what, Don? You too can be an NFL quarterback. You're left-handed too?
Right,
you too can be an NFL quarterback.
You can be an NFL quarterback.
I mean, because listen, CJ Stroud, shout out to him. Let's give him some credit. He's been balling out.
Oh man, I think he's definitely a rookie of the year.
And he has a very interesting story. Do you know his father has been incarcerated for 38 years and has never seen him, never seen any of his games from high school on up to present day live. He's never been actually at any of his games.
Really?
Incarcerated for 38 years. He has a 38-year sentence. He hasn't been. I think he's eligible for parole, arguably after CJ Stroud's season. His career will be over. 2050.
Jesus! Yeah. Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, very interesting story. And CJ Stroud has spoken up about it. He spoke. It's really it's an interesting story. It's really interesting. And so he's pushing for justice reform and some things like that, because 38 years is at what point have you paid your debts to society? You know what I mean? Like,
do we know what he did?
I don't know. I don't know. Like he did something crazy. I'm 38 years. It had to be something, right?
Yeah.
Or I mean, we've heard of stories where people have done 15, 16, 20 years for crimes they've never committed. And then it's DNA that find, and I'm not saying that's the case with him, but I'm just saying the justice system reform needs to be addressed either way. Even if he spends every hour in that jail, he's there till 2050 on the nose. Justice reform still needs to be addressed, and making sure that people, when they come out, it's just not that they've been in a vacuum for all that time, and now they don't have any skills. They don't know how to, re-ingratiate themselves with society. It needs to be, a pathway.
No,
shout out to my church. They're doing something for incarcerated children. It's Angel Tree. Where they give gifts. You're familiar with it. Yeah. So they give gifts on behalf of incarcerated individuals. And I think that's I
think that's very, very commendable and should be highly applauded. Shout out to pastor and to the team there, the church. I think that's awesome, D.
Yeah.
And in fact, I read up on his dad, Coleridge Bernard Stroud III. So he's in Folsom State Prison, which is in California, actually. He pleaded guilty in 2015 to charges of kidnapping, robbery, carjacking, and misdemeanor sexual battery in San Diego. So that's what.
They threw the book.
Yeah,
they threw the book.
Yeah.
And we don't know if
he was actually a pastor. I think it said here in an appeal filed in 2018. The elder Stroud, who was a pastor, said he returned to an addiction to drugs that had sent him to prison earlier in his life. And Stroud's father is fighting to get out of prison early, but as of now, he will not be eligible for parole until 2040, at least according to this article. 2040, okay. When he is 70, according to prison records. So Stroud has not seen his father since 2014, but they talk on the phone. He plans to visit him after this is after the college football season. So this is a year ago, this article I'm reading.
Got it.
Yeah, so, yeah. But yeah, man, wow, that's interesting. I had no idea. Wow, wow. But I mean, you got to root for a guy like that, right? And I hate the Texans. I'll be honest. On the low key, I hate the Texans. You know, they kind of well, they're kind of like our nemesis in the state of Texas. And actually, you know what? We can't beat them. We almost lost to them last year. It was a bad game. We barely won that game last year.
I remember.
Jack with the crucial interception there. Noah Brown, shout out to him. He did catch a huge pass on the sideline on that third down completion that kept the drive alive. We did pull that victory out. But, you know, the Texans play us rough, man. In fact, we were the first. They got their first franchise victory against the Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? We can't beat them for some reason. They always play us tough no matter what's going on. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's kind of like big brother, little brother, Yankees, Mets, you know, Knicks.
Yeah. Of course, the Cowboys being the bigger brother. Yeah. You know, yeah, of course.
Both of y'all got the same amount. Almost. No, I won't say that. Never mind. You guys have a little more success than they do. Y'all have.
I would say a whole lot.
Y'all got some hardware. I mean, they're a new team, basically. I mean, they're not.
Well, I mean, they're not that new, but they are new. I mean, for considering, you know, with the other leagues, the other teams in the league. But listen, they're gonna have some hardware. Just individually, right? Because I mean, DeMeco Ryans clearly a front runner for Coach of the Year. Stroud, Rookie of the Year. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, man.
Listen,
fun. Yeah, your boy Ryan
DeMeco,
he's doing
listen, where did he come from again? I'm not sure. Where?
The sidelines. He came from the sidelines.
He came from the sidelines, right? DeMeco, right? He is doing a fantastic job coaching. He was never in the booth. He was on the sideline, right?
Yeah, he was on
Robert Saleh, who is unfortunately, I think management or the ownership is forcing him to stick with Zach Wilson. He's doing a good job under the circumstances. He was on the sideline.
Yeah. Well, you know,
our team has been poached for coaches, and teams are thriving based off of.
Oh, that's what happens when you're a successful team, right?
What coaches got poached from you guys? I mean, what are you talking about?
I'm just saying in general. And I just said I didn't say Dallas.
Y'all got nothing to poach.
In general. No, we got Al Harris is a very good defensive back coach. I'm sure he'll get a DC job perhaps somewhere. Many people thought he should have been promoted before Dan came in. But Dan. But I tell you what, coach, we got from y'all that was trash. And that was Nolan. He was trash. Okay,
that was a hookup. That was a friend.
Well, it was because McCarthy
friends and family discount. Yeah, that was like some kind of That wasn't.
McCarthy came from your trees, from San Fran's tree. You know, I remember McCarthy's been around, man.
He was low hanging fruit. We don't claim him.
Why not? He was with Joe Montana, Steve Young. I mean, that's how far back he goes. You know, he's been around. You think about it. He's been around Hall of Fame quarterbacks. You have Montana, Young, Favre, Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and
Dak,
now he's
right?
Dak may be a Hall of Famer one day. We'll see.
Come on.
You know.
Come on now. Let's be serious.
No, it may not happen, but I don't care. You don't need to be a Hall of Famer to win a Super Bowl.
He'll be in the Ring of Honor. That's all, right? He'll be in at some point.
He'll get in there before Jimmy Johnson, sure.
Right. Oh, man.
Lord.
But listen, man, great show. We got another show coming up, and we're going to discuss
we'll talk some NBA too.
Yeah, we'll talk some NBA. Ben Simmons has some kind of back issue. He needs a backiotomy or whatever. So we'll see what happens.
Him and AD, street clothes guys. They're the street clothes guys. You know what I'm saying, man? It's just that's just what it is, man. Boy, I tell you.
But It's all good, man. Listen, shout outs to Kingdom Creative for the production.
Always.
Shout outs to Infinite Audio for the music. Shout outs to my daughter's basketball team that is doing well. I only got one loss.
Wow.
Shout outs to her. Yeah, my daughter's doing a thing. Shout outs to my son who's on Honor Society.
Come on, D. Oh man, the kids are thriving.
Yeah, they're doing some stuff, man. They're doing some stuff. So thank God for that, man.
Shout out to the niece.
Yeah, man. So it's all good, man. But Rod, thanks for joining, man.
No doubt, bro.
Until next time. Please, everyone, like, share, subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page. Please make your comments. We appreciate all of the interaction. Continue. We're going to have a really good show coming up. Until next time, peace.